quorum, and it is 3:30, so we will get started. We have a presentation today, but first, as usual, we'll have a request for bill introductions. Are there any? Is there any request? Seeing none. Okay, what we've lined up today, committee, is an informational presentation on the clubhouse model programs. And to get that started, I'm going to go ahead and call Mary Ellen Conley. And if you would present, and I believe you have some other people with you who will be sharing the podium with you, so if you'll just introduce them at the appropriate time. Okay.
We have a PowerPoint, and different people are going to speak at different points in the PowerPoint. Plus, we have a couple of members of clubhouses who might like to speak. One at the end who isn't listed, if you allow him to give his story too.
Very well, and there may be some points where people have some questions.
Would you? We can do it. We can have questions along the way, or is that your best way? Okay.
Right. And if someone signals they want to have a question, I may just interrupt you. And okay, but for now, proceed. Thank you for being with us.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Ellen Conley. Many of you know me from having been a lobbyist here for 40 years, but I did retire, and now I'm a member of the Episcopal Social Services Board in Wichita, Kansas. And I love the clubhouses. I represented them some time ago, and now I said to them, oh, I can't give up on you, so I'll be there to help out. So back in 18 and 19, the Breakthrough Club, which is a certified clubhouse model program in Wichita, was working with legislators to find a way to supplement funding provided by the Episcopal Church, grant funding, which was both governmental and private, and other philanthropic giving, so that they could continue the services and expand them to members with mental illness. At the same time, the lottery office was asking for an opportunity to expand access to lottery games by adding vending machines. Well, we began working with some members of the House, and they chose to marry those two concepts. One was the lottery expansion of vending machine sales, and the other was clubhouse model. And then the Mental Health Association worked with us as well, and we came up with the lottery office said that they estimated that it would increase revenue to the state by about $8 million. Well, it took a while. The first 2 or 3 years, we got 800,000, and then $1 million, and then $1.5 million. And last year, all of a sudden, it was at $9 million. It was coming in at $9 million. And we were in the process of trying to open a new clubhouse in Newton, so the extra money would have been helpful to us. So through that proviso process, the Appropriations Committee in the House added some money in through a proviso to bring it up to the $9 million level. So the money is still capped at $8 million, although this year we're getting $9 million. And now that we're trying to put this together, we are asking, Appropriations has agreed to introduce the bill. I've worked with the chair there and the ranking minority member, and they'll introduce a bill that will increase the cap to $12 million. That would be an extra $4 million. $3 million would go to the community mental health centers for crisis stabilization, and $1 million would go to the clubhouse model. Now, you folks challenged us when we got the original money and said, we'd like to see you expand this model, and we've done so. We have a clubhouse in Hutchinson, Kansas, and that clubhouse has already become nationally accredited. In 3 years, they really put together a wonderful program, and you'll be hearing from them later in the program. We have a clubhouse in Topeka. Topeka had a certified clubhouse some years ago. They've revamped the whole thing, and they're really serving patients now, or we don't call them patients, clients. They're serving clients now, as well as Olathe. You'll be hearing from Olathe. We've opened a clubhouse in Newton, but it's only doing 2 days a week, and they didn't have enough staff to send anyone here today. And then we're talking to Salina. Salina's having community meetings. And we've had some initial conversations with Great Bend. So I'm here today to tell you that background, but also to introduce these folks so you can learn a little bit about why we all believe in the clubhouse model as part of the continuum of care for mentally ill people. So thank you very much. Any questions? Or I guess you ask whether there's any questions.
Committee, are there questions at this point? Representative Ruiz.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And I'm reading from your, what you've given, your written statement. And so I was not aware that, that part of the funding goes for Community Crisis Stabilization Fund. That 75% of that funding goes to that and 25 only goes to the clubhouse?
When we were working on the deal to take our need for money from a dream to reality, we also worked with the mental health centers, and they were having trouble funding their crisis stabilization programs. And so with the help of some legislators who you know well that care about mental health, we came up with that amount. And we were, as a startup, I mean, 8 million sounded like a whole I'm sorry, 2 million, our portion of that sounded like a whole lot to us. But when the concept really caught on and we began to find other communities that wanted to work with us, that's why we're back. We hope after you've heard this presentation, you'll believe in our program too.
Any other questions at this point? Seeing none, we can proceed with the
All right.
presentation.
Hello, my name is Andy Holberg. I am the CEO of Breakthrough Episcopal Social Services. We have 3 clubhouses that we run, and we also help facilitate the Kansas Clubhouse Coalition, so responsible for expansion. And there are 2 other clubhouses run by 2 other agencies that you'll be hearing from as well. Just give a little bit more of the background on the clubhouse model itself. It's an actual international model. The clubhouse is an evidence-based community support for people impacted by mental illness. We now have over 50 years of research supporting the outcomes of this program. Clubhouses reduce unemployment and hospitalization and drastically improve health outcomes. There are over 300 clubhouses in 30 different countries. The majority of those are in the United States. We have endorsements from the American Psychiatric Association, as well as the former National Institute of Mental Health Director, Dr. Thomas Ensel. I bring this up because this is a practice that is very effective throughout the United States. In fact, in the surrounding states, there are clubhouses in Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Missouri, all of which have drastically improved health outcomes for people experiencing mental illness. This evidence-based practice is guided by 37 standards, and that's what they hold each program to. And they have accreditation visits that come and take a look at the programs and make sure that they are operating under these standards. The standards operate as a Bill of Rights for members. We call them members. Bill of Rights for members, and then a code of conduct for the staff. And so that kind of helps guide that evidence-based social practice that makes it so extremely effective. It's important to note, though, that the clubhouse does best when it's seen in the full landscape of interventions of mental illness. So we work really well when we're working closely with CCBHCs, with NAMI, with the CROs in tandem, because it's about a continuum of care. It's about us working together to surround and support individuals who their quality of life is impacted so drastically by these diseases. We currently have 5 different clubhouses in Kansas, and as you'll hear, we serve over 700 individuals last year alone. So we're having a pretty big impact for the amount of programs that we do have. We wanted to make it quick and brief because what's more important than the numbers and the statistics and talking about the research is hearing the stories of the people that it has impacted the most.
Andy, would you stand for questions if there are any.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Committee, are there questions? I guess not. I guess I did have one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of new to this whole gig. This is my second year doing this. Tell me why it's known as a clubhouse. Is that a symbolic thing? Is it a literal thing? Is it a?
It was named Clubhouse, I think, originally because of the sense that it has members, you know? It's like other clubs, they have membership, and that membership comes with certain amount of benefits. And so that's really kind of where it originated. Fountain House Clubhouse is the first one. It was formed in New York. And some of the folks have been around a little bit longer than I have. It was in the 40s that it was developed. And so that's kind of how it got to begin. It became originally it was a group of members who had mental illness who came together for mutual support. And that's how it kind of got established.
Is it residential or is it just?
It's non-residential. However, a lot of the clubhouses throughout the country do have housing associated with it. We would like to see that eventually in Kansas, that every clubhouse has some access to housing. Because, you see a lot of individuals who are released from mental health hospitals and have nowhere to go or no stable place to land, and so they end up staying there longer than they need to. Our vision is to see a clubhouse in every part of the state to where they have a safe place to not only go and get the support they need, but also have a safe and dignified place to live.
Very well. Committee, other questions at this point? Okay, thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Next, I think Brian, is that Brian Blevins?
That's me. Thank you. My name is Brian Blevins. I'm the CEO for the Breakthrough House here in Shawnee County, and also the auspice agency for our local clubhouses, which is the Lotus Clubhouse. It's an amazing place. As you see in this slide, I think most of us have a pretty good idea of the ripple effects of what happens when people have mental health issues on a global scale. I'm just not real good about talking about the problems. I'm a lot better at talking about the solutions. And so what I want to do is just give you a little bit of background about me and where my experience comes in. I came to the clubhouse, or to Breakthrough House, a little over a year ago. And I came in as a clinician. My background is in the neuroscience of addiction. I actually own a private practice in Lawrence, and I own the Addiction and Recovery Research Institute in Lawrence. As a clinician, I thought I was kind of bringing those skills in to the clubhouse, which I found out that's not true. I had to relearn everything that I knew. But at the same time, what I discovered was quite amazing. I'm a scientist, and I do research, and so as a scientist, we look at outcomes and solutions, and we take a look at those things, then we try to recreate them through research and try to predict, an outcome on our own. What I've seen and what I'd like to bring to your attention today is something that was really quite amazing about the science of clubhouses and why they're so effective. We've already seen it. We've seen it for 80 years. One of the things I had to admit as a clinician and as somebody who has been a therapist for over a decade is that the most powerful therapeutic outcomes that we've seen on our planet are non-professionally based. We see them in supportive networks like AA and NA. And those are always the programs that are on the back of treatment. When people come out of treatment, those are the backbone of those treatment programs, is these supportive networks that support treatment. After treatment, people get out of crisis. They have Oxford houses to go to, and they have places where they can go to find support. And that's exactly what clubhouses do for those people with mental health issues. The science is exactly the same, and the effectiveness is exactly the same. And it's also why we have to start focusing on creating safe places for people to go and to fellowship, and also creating housing that's associated with this as well. If we do that, we can turn the tide on what is mental health catastrophe in our world, not just here, but because of epigenetics and the genetics of how things are passed down, the environments of homes that children are born into with parents who have mental health issues and substance use disorders, The science is there. We have the science. We know how to do this, and we're getting better and better and better at it. We just have to get ourselves involved and put our efforts into the solution, start funding these solutions and helping us to create these spaces for people to get better, because our brain is an extremely resilient organ. It will get better. It does heal, and people get better. So that's my message.
Any questions for Brian?
You notice how I didn't step away until he asked that question?
Yeah. You learn quickly, don't you?
I did.
Okay. Representative Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So walk us through a day.
A work order day. I certainly will. When people come into the clubhouse, we have different units. We have wellness units, we have business units, we have media units. These units are creating opportunities for people to get involved in the food that's prepared. They get involved. It gives them purpose and meaning throughout that day. We also have temporary employment programs. We have sustained employment programs where people, if they're interested in taking on some part-time work, or they don't have a resume because of their mental health has taken them to a place where they can't really put something together, we provide them with some agencies that we've created, that we've partnered with, so that they can find jobs in temporary employment to start building that back up. Throughout the day, it's broken into two different sections, a morning section and then an afternoon section, so that people who come in the afternoon have an opportunity to involve themselves in either the wellness unit or the business unit, so that they can get involved in the different particulars, whether it's cleaning the clubhouse, whether it's preparing food for the club, making coffee. We have a snack bar. We have a thrift store inside that they can run. There's people who sit at the front and welcome people in and give tours. We have people who answer the phones. I mean, the clubhouse is run by the members. We're just there to make sure the doors stay open, really. And that's kind of, does that answer your question?
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Representative Ballard.
Thank you.
Nope, you're not off the hook yet. We were saying, all right, you were speaking and I wasn't writing, but you also said in addition to Shawnee County, you also have 2 locations in Lawrence?
I have in my private practice.
Your private
That's
practice.
personally. I was given a little personal background so that adding some credentials to what I was saying.
When you talk about all the things within the clubhouse, is there someone who initially, it's almost like a business, is there somebody who's in charge of the clubhouse per se? And then other people do their thing, because if something would happen, who do they go to? That's what I'm basically asking.
There's different levels of accountability. Can I put it that way? So, as the CEO for Breakthrough House, my accountability is to make sure that the bills are paid and that it stays funded and that they keep the doors open. You're going to meet our clubhouse director. She's in charge of making sure that each one of the units is open and operational, and if people come in and they give a tour, she organizes those days, and helps the members find their place to different units that whatever she finds their interest. And then say, okay, well, sounds like you might really enjoy doing something over in the wellness unit if you like to cook, but everybody's accountable at some level in the clubhouse, everybody.
Appreciate your answer. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Brian? Representative Droege.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your testimony. You're kind of answering these as you go along, but my thoughts were, as you approach something like this, you have to measure your problem, you have to measure to have a direction to go and measure your success rate. And what do you consider success? And do you plan on them graduating from Clubhouse and going back into, life, I guess?
We measure it by independence. How far someone moves into that area of independence. They find work, they independently live, they have their own apartment, and as they get better and as they heal, they never do really, you don't graduate from the clubhouse, you just re-involve yourself. A lot of the people in the clubhouse end up on the board of directors. They get healthy enough that they involve themselves in other ways and different levels of involvement at the clubhouse. But we have members that get off disability and drive trucks now and across the country. I'm speaking of one member in particular that I know of. But they don't leave the clubhouse. They just change their involvement and how they involve themselves at the clubhouse, what they do. These are people who help each other every day. That never gets old. They never get tired of it. They never give up their purpose. They just renew the strength that they have there. It's amazing.
Thank you.
You bet.
Representative Barth.
Thanks, you, Chair Mason. Brian, as we keep talking, we just keep thinking of more questions. So
Okay.
we're going to keep you up there for a while longer.
I've never really had a problem with talking.
All right, I have two questions. How busy are you at the clubhouse? Can you give us a little bit of just a quick synopsis of the capacity you have and how busy you are? And tell us a little
I'm
bit.
not busy at all. Molly has to do it. And she's busy. She stays busy every day. We have new members coming in all the time, so it grows. This is it's like the exponential growth formula. It never stops growing. People very rarely drop out, but they keep coming. So we grow and we need new capacity. I would say it's one of those things that will never stop growing. We just have to be prepared for the growth. We have to be.
And then my other question I had was, if someone is in need of your services, how do they even know you exist?
That's a great question. It's a terribly, terribly under-recognized and unknown thing. I didn't know about it when I came in, but once I saw it, it lit my passion fire, and I talk about it all the time. So, yeah, I guess there's a real need for some exposure to some of the other entities that would be candidates, like the NFMHs. We're trying to partner with a lot of them so that when people if they do get stable there, they have a place to go to when they get out. For that, we need housing. We need a lot of things, but it's getting more and more recognized. I got an email just the other day from the Neuroscience Institute about the study they did on clubhouses and the outcomes. So it's getting there. I'd love to speed that process up. There's a lot of people out there that need us. You bet.
To dovetail on that question, do people come to the clubhouse and become members? Do they ask for help? Are they referred? How does that work?
All of the above. We try to get, I've got a guy that we just hired who is working in outreach. He's going out and finding as many people as he can even in the homeless populations, people that are potential good clubhouse members, getting them over to the crisis intervention team with Bill Persinger and Vallejo, and then when they get out of that, they have a place to go and continue that stabilization process. We have to move them along that continuation. That's one source. We're again partnering with NFMHs that we can bring people out of there into the clubhouse membership. Once they see it, it's almost impossible, and it's infectious. But what we do lack is getting that message to the homes where family members have people who have mental health issues. They don't see a commercial on TV. There's no billboards out here. So we do need to get that message out, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that other than some media campaigns of some sort, getting on the radio and TV and stuff.
Very good. Committee, any other questions? Representative Ruiz.
Brian, could you let the committee know the difference between the clubhouse kind of program and more traditional formal treatment?
Sure. One of the side effects from people who have mental health issues is a lack of services, a lack of engagement. You keep in mind, people try really hard to stop that spiraling down effect, but eventually they end up in crisis. Treatment is restabilizing that person on medications, getting them into therapy, you know, some amazing good therapeutic techniques out there. The science behind EMDR, brain spotting, somatic experiencing, it does a lot to lower people's anxiety and help them emotionally stabilize. When they do, they don't want to lose that again, so they need a stable environment to go to and to collaborate with others on how to maintain that stabilization process.
And if you could speak a little bit to the value of peer support.
Oh.
This is what the program is about. I know.
Boy.
In just a few minutes.
Listen, I'll let you know that Charlie Bartlett started me as a peer mentor 17 years ago. So the value of peer mentorship and one peer helping another peer, nobody understands somebody with a bipolar disorder better than somebody with another bipolar disorder. Now follow me on this, because this is where I'm going to see if that KU communications degree paid off, okay? If you have a bipolar disorder, the hardest thing for you to see is the problems you're having, because you're emotionally attached to those problems. But I can see them because I've got the same problem. So I can help you with your problem, and I can't help you with your problem without helping me with mine, because we got the same problem. And that's how it works. I hope that. How was that, by the way? Awesome.
Committee, other questions for Brian? Seeing none, we can move to the next portion, and I
Thank you.
believe it's Paige Chamberlain.
Next slide, thanks.
I don't know if I have all the names in the order they
Okay.
chose to come up. Who was planning to come next?
Hello, my name is Molly Kemper, and I'm the director of the Lotus House here in Topeka.
I'm Kelsey Thomas. I'm a member of the Lotus House.
We're going to answer a lot of the questions that you guys just asked, but we've never done this, so we're both a little nervous. We're going to support each other as we do it, okay?
Okay. And then as you do respond, if you would talk into the microphone, because some of this is on WebEx as well. Okay.
On this thing. We're going to do this. All right. So what are clubhouses? Clubhouses are vibrant, member-driven communities where individuals actively participate in the decision-making, the program planning, and the daily operations of the clubhouse. So anything that I can do, Kelsey can do. The focus is on recovery. It's on addressing vocational, educational, social, and emotional needs. By creating a sense of community, promoting member empowerment, and providing a structured work-ordered day, the clubhouse contributes to reducing the stigma, promoting inclusivity, and creating a supportive community. Next slide. So participants at the clubhouse are members. Being a member of the clubhouse transforms the traditional approach to mental health services. Members are not passive recipients. They are central to shaping their recovery. They are central to their well-being. Membership signifies belonging, and membership signifies ownership. Members of the clubhouse have an ownership of the program. We focus on strengths. We focus on their abilities. And this aligns with the person-centered approach. Our members are active participants in their own journey of recovery. So there's several different pillars that the clubhouse model follows: housing, employment, meaningful work, and relationship building. The clubhouse plays a pivotal role in supporting housing by empowering and assisting individuals in securing stable housing. But we provide more than that. We don't just pay a rent or a utility bill. Through the work order day, we enhance life skills. We teach budgeting. We teach communication. We teach how to be healthy neighbors. We teach how to be good tenants. By assisting with employment or increasing a person's employability, we help people maintain their housing because we increase their financial independence. So to kind of connect Clubhouse and housing, this is Kelsey. And Kelsey is a member of the Lotus House, and she's going to tell her story today.
So I'm here today to share a brief part of my story. I'm a living testament to the success of Breakthrough House clubhouses. There is a lot of house here in Topeka. Sorry, this is really hard for me. And how they can inspire change within a person struggling with their illness and position within the mental health system. I'm educated, have thrived, and been a leader in the workplace at large hospitals in both Kansas and Missouri. I've successfully lived independently and managed all my own affairs. But about a year ago, I was falling through the cracks. I had fallen into almost total isolation from the world, cut ties with family, friends, and coworkers. I found myself requiring an acute mental health hospital stay and to be rehoused. At the advice of others and not knowing differently, my family decided to place me within a facility away from my home in Kansas City. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a mess.
You're good. You're doing great.
They decided to place me in a facility away from my home in Kansas City, here in Topeka. Once there, I floundered. I couldn't find my voice. I felt powerless and without purpose. I grasped onto any person who walked through the facility doors. One day, I was able to connect to a local case manager and then to a counselor who would come and see me at the facility. My counselor's suggestion, I began researching a place called Breakthrough House. Through a lot of effort, I was finally granted permission to visit the clubhouse. I suspected I would enjoy myself purely for the reason of getting out a couple times a week, but I never knew the change that it could encourage from within. I began almost immediately coming 5 days a week. I was able to involve myself in the work order day and felt almost as if I had a job again. Suddenly, there was a reason to get up out of bed each day, people to see, and things to get done. I had a reason and the determination to keep living again. At the clubhouse, I was able to educate myself on the alternatives to being warehoused within a facility, job opportunities for the future, and fun ways to involve myself within my new community. I'm eligible for scholarship money to refresh my nursing skills, help implement wellness activities within the clubhouse for my fellow members. To my amazement, my family and those around me have noticed the change too. I am now slated for a move to one of the Breakthrough House group homes as soon as it opens this month. I couldn't be more excited. I hope to attend one of the intensive trainings at a fellow clubhouse somewhere around the country and bring about the clubhouse culture to the Lotus House. My hope for the future is now very bright and fulfilling. I have friends around me each and every day that embrace my flaws and celebrate my achievements. I now consider myself a success and part of the future here at Lotus House.
Good. Good job. They didn't clap for me.
Did you entertain a few friendly questions if there were? Are there questions, committee? Representative Ballard.
I noticed once you got started, you went right on through because you forgot about you, right? And you had a story to tell, right? Okay. What's your biggest surprise about yourself?
I never knew I could do it again.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Other questions, committee? Representative Carpenter.
And so where are you going to go from here?
I want to go back to work. I'm moving out of this facility that's horrible. It's deplorable. It's a prison for all those who are warehoused there, like I said. I want to go back to work. I want to live independently. I want to be on my own 2 feet again. I don't want to have guardianship. I don't want to have a payee. I want to do everything on my own again.
And so what kind of career would that involve?
I'm an RN.
You're what?
I'm an RN, a registered.
You're an RN? Very cool. Well, very good. Well, thank you for that.
Representative Ballard.
Now that I know you're an RN. Do you want to be totally on your own, or can you have 1 or 2 people that you can check in with so that they can share your success?
stay a part of the clubhouse forever.
All right, so you don't want to totally leave it, you just want to improve those other areas.
Yes.
But you still will have your connection that contributed to your success.
Yes.
Okay, good job. Thank you.
So there was a question about membership and persons moving on from the program. One of our standards is once a member, always a member, but the autonomous that the membership creates, their involvement in the work order day decreases as their involvement in the community as a whole increases. And then they build their own autonomy. And that's where Kelsey will be with her registered nurse degree.
Very well. Committee, other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary Ellen, who's next?
Hello, I'm Katie Gibbons. I'm the program director of Milestone Clubhouse. It's one of the relatively new clubhouses, and we just got it accredited this year. We're very, very proud of that. We worked really hard for that. I've been working in Clubhouse over 30 years, and through my time working in this organization, I've seen so many stories and so many results like this. I just want to add something about the concept of membership. I like to tell people it's kind of like being a member of a church. So when you're a member of a church, sometimes you go and you receive help and guidance and support, and sometimes you go back and you provide that guidance and support to others. And it's not time limited. You can be a member of a church for as long as you want to, and that's how I see the clubhouse model, and that's what membership is. You're very much involved in it, and very much a partner in whatever goes on. So, all right. So we've already talked about some of the basic components of Clubhouse, the things that we do. We focus on friendship, employment, housing, and education, and access to medical and psychiatric services. So we do work very closely with other programs in the community to make sure that people get the resources that they need in order to get better. In Hutchinson, we work very closely with Horizons Mental Health Services and their ACT team to identify individuals who are homeless or coming out of hospitals and making sure that they can get those resources and supports they need immediately. In a clubhouse, when you're a member, if you're having a rough day, you don't need an appointment. You just come into the clubhouse and you get help that day. So that helps relieve a lot of people's stress and anxiety, and they know they have the support that they need in order to carry on. And plus, members and staff work together to point those individuals in the right direction to get help. So right now, as it's already been said, there are over 330 clubhouses across the world in 32 countries, and we've served over 100,000 people. In Kansas, last fiscal year, ending June 2023, clubhouses in Kansas served over 700 people and 82 young adult members, individuals 18 to 30 years old. The overall employment rate for accredited clubhouses for members is 42% employment rate, which is really high compared to other programs that serve individuals with mental illness. Right now, our overall average percentage is 30%, but as we each continue to strive for accreditation, we expect that number to rise. Also, our focus is also keeping people out of long-term hospitalization. We look at long-term hospitalization as at least 3 nights. So in clubhouses in Kansas, 90% of our active members have not needed long-term hospitalization, and those are the folks that for last year. So we have a really high rate of folks that do not need that long-term hospitalization because they're getting the daily support they need from other people in the clubhouse. So far this year, since July 1st, we've served over 400 individuals, and 120 of those members have been employed. So those are just some of the stats that we have, and I just open up that to any questions.
Questions, Eddie? Seeing none, thank you.
I knew mine was going to be short and sweet. Thank you so much.
You must be Josh.
That's true. Hi, Representative Mason Chair. Thank you guys very much. My name is Josh Lyman. I'm with the Reclamation Clubhouse in Olathe. And so we've been open since November of 2019. I'm also here with Emily Lamar, one of our colleagues of the clubhouse. And we've been able to hear today, particularly from Kelsey and from Brian and a couple of other people, about the work that happens in the clubhouse that brings them a sense of purpose. And that really can be said to be meaningful work. It's not that we're just, stuffing envelopes or some of those traditional volunteer types of things that you see happen that can be considered important to some people, but not to everybody. They are individuals who are creating programs, that they are helping staff, and many times empowering staff to do for us to be empowering the members of the clubhouse to be able to do the work that needs to happen on a day-to-day basis. And Emily, if you'd like to talk a little bit about your experiences.
Sure. Hi, I'm Emily Lamar. I'm from Reclamation Clubhouse. So when I first came to Clubhouse, I was a little bit of a mess. I had been in and out of the hospital for about a year straight. And when I first came, I was hiding under desks. I was in the back rooms, staying away from people completely. As I got more involved with the clubhouse, I found that I really enjoyed the people there, that sense of camaraderie, for people to know what I was going through, and really for people just to be there as my supports. Also, each day, I loved doing the work of the clubhouse. As Josh said, there are typical things that you might think of, like cleaning or stuffing envelopes that people do, but I really loved being involved in some of the more administrative work, grant writing, working on the newsletter, advocacy, going out and telling people about Clubhouse and speaking at meetings. And as I became more and more in tune with the Clubhouse, I did much better in my own personal life. I'm currently getting my MSW to be a social worker so that I can give back like the Clubhouse has given to me. And without the Clubhouse, I would not be here alive today.
So do you let me get by with not giving you meaningful work?
Oh, no. When I originally came to the clubhouse, if I was ever bored, I would throw pencils at Josh to let him know I needed work, and then he would find something for me to do.
Absolutely. So it behooves us as staff to make sure that we have members engaged and give them a chance to do some things and of course we follow their lead many times as well, because when they do that, then that allows us to be able to reach more people. And so we, at the clubhouse model, we make sure that we hire fewer staff so that we have the need for the members to be able to get the things done in the clubhouse as well. So one of those things we've been working on that you guys had that had been originally put into our funding was to work with the psychiatric mental health nursing homes, NFMHs. And so we have been able to make some strides with that, as Brian alluded to earlier. We currently have 6 coming from Edwardsville Care Center in the Johnson County area. We're also working with Medical Lodges of Paola. And so when they come, you see kind of that truest form of we're looking for things to do. These are individuals who, they get out of the nursing home for the day, they come and visit us and spend some great quality time working on a variety of different things that they want to do. And so they ask us lots of questions. They want to help us in a variety of ways. So it's been really neat to watch that group also to expand and do well.
Committee questions? Representative Ruiz.
Thank you for your presentation. How are the folks from Edwardsville getting to the clubhouse?
Sure. So we trade rides. So they have a van there, and there's the 6 there. The social workers are the ones who bring them to us, and then we take them home typically, or sometimes they take them back and forth. Just kind of depends on what they can do and how mobile they can be that day.
Thank you.
Representative Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. It really helps to hear what you feel and what you do. How many people would you say are there every day, roughly?
We have not been technically open yet because of our building, so we are working on getting that building finished. We have about 11 coming per day.
And how many do you expect when you?
We expect to grow towards at least 20 a day in the first year.
And is there, do they get to rotate through all these different areas, you know, the longer you're there, or you find out what you're really good at that you want to do?
Exactly. Everybody gets a chance to go to any of the unit meetings that they want to and experience that for themselves. They can go to multiple meetings in the daytime. Those meetings are kind of the rallying cry. This is what hey, go out and do this stuff today from this meeting. And so they get a chance to work any of those units each day.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I also really love that the work is voluntary, so that if you come in and, you're just not having it that day, you can come in and, kind of relax, do whatever you need to do. But then if, you're really passionate about something, about a project, one of the things that I had worked on last year was increasing diversity in the clubhouse. So I did a lot of projects with that and doing some data as to kind of the surrounding area and how diverse it was and how we could bring more diversity in. So it's really whatever the members want to do, and then the staff support us with that. I don't anymore.
Keep you busy.
Committee, other questions at this point? Okay. Thank you, too. Thank you both for being here.
My name is Paige Chamberlain. I am, and this is my colleague, April. I am the Assistant Program Director of the Clubhouse in Hutchinson, Milestone, and I'm also a social work student, so I'm doing some practicum work up here with Mary Ellen, so I'm getting to shadow her and see how this legislative stuff works. But we kind of want to talk about, if you'd go one more slide ahead, meaningful relationships. Like you've heard all of our colleagues speak, it's so important that we can come up here together and talk to you all because we've built that relationship. And not only are we building relationships in our clubhouse with one another, but we're also building relationships with our community. So we can speak specifically for Hutchinson. There's so many task force, homelessness, there's task force for business work. We want to make sure that we all can be a part of that. And so members and staff side by side we go to those meetings, we make sure that people's voices can be heard. And again, that kind of feeds back into the peer support. Some of these conversations, there was a homelessness task force and they were being had without anyone with lived experience. So, we can here at the clubhouse find people who are strong in those areas and we can go attend those meetings so that it brings that experience to those things. And if you'd like to go to the next slide. Like I said, we're all known as colleagues, and I'm going to let my colleague April share her story.
I started with Milestone Clubhouse almost 2 years ago. Before I started Clubhouse, I sat at home not doing anything. I didn't socialize, I was very isolated and very depressed. When I first came to the Clubhouse, I was nervous. I started slowly coming, a couple hours at a time. I began helping in the kitchen preparing meals. After a while, I really got into it and was enjoying myself. I began feeling really welcome and got more confident. I started coming all day. I now help with more of the snack bar and the business side of tracking attendance, transportation, and meals. I now come 5 days a week. I'm involved in all aspects of the wellness unit and a few things in the business unit. I help develop the structure of our work order day board and identifying the work of the unit and breaking it down so the work would be accessible to all members. I also keep everyone, including the staff, focused on task. When I first started coming to Clubhouse, I was struggling to walk using a walker. My weight was very high. Partially due to the healthy meals at Milestone and the increased walking I do every day, my weight has dropped significantly. I am now walking with just my cane. Thanks to the Clubhouse grants, I'm finishing my associate's degree. I'm also now a member of the board of directors. I have lots of friends. I've gotten to travel. I was able to attend the National Clubhouse Conference this past October in Salt Lake City. I'm much happier now, and I don't have to see my therapist but every 6 weeks. Clubhouse works.
And my colleague Rick is also going to share his story. I don't know if you want to ask questions first or if we want him to share his story or how you would like.
See if there are any questions at this point, committee. April? Yes. You started your presentation that you started with Milestone almost 2 years ago. What was your initial decision to go there? Had someone told you about it? Were you?
Yes, I'd actually heard about it through believe it or not, just a poster that was up in my building. I live in a building, public housing, that had a flyer up in the building for it, advertising it as a place to go. And like I said, I was just being on disability. I sat at home, not doing anything, and I was starting to go stir crazy. And really, my family was pushing me to get out and do something. And so I decided to give it a try. Figured, why not?
So that was kind of a leap of faith, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was.
Very good. Thank you. Committee, other questions? Okay.
Rick, you want to come up and?
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here today to share my thoughts and experience how it applies to our clubhouse. I'm a 58-year-old widower since 2012, and I was ready to go back to work when my wife passed away. I'm a disabled, retired airplane mechanic now, who also has the opportunity of working professionally as a drummer and a musician. And Brian said something about recovery, and I just have to say that I can't keep what I have unless I give it away. And I'm able to do that at the clubhouse. So in 1990, I was diagnosed with mental illness. There was a time in my life where I destroyed everything good in my life. During this time, I'd been arrested, detained, or questioned on numerous occasions. I was certainly hard-headed, spent time in jail. And when I wasn't in jail, my addiction and my mental illness was ingrained in me. It was who I was. Or I thought it was who I was at the time. However, years later, I had it all: sobriety, marriage, a home, nice vehicles in the driveway. I found out it was easier to do good at staying straight, not self-medicating, and dragging my family through all the ugly sides of addiction. Beforehand, I blamed everyone else for all my bad habits, but I had a mentor, a sponsor, and a friend kindly share a slick one-liner telling me I wasn't responsible for my addiction or my mental illness, but I was responsible for my recovery. To keep a long story short, over a lifetime, I've lost everything more than once. I've lost my freedom to choose, as well as my basic rights to decency. That was the worst thing about living under the control of mental illness, having my freedom taken away from me. Thankfully, through the support of the clubhouse, I can proudly stand here today, confident and sober. I found my clubhouse in 2008. Since then, once again, I came to a point in my life where things had gotten better than anything I could have ever imagined. When I went to treatment and was in the hospital, they asked me where I'd be in 5 years, and my life has gotten so much better than anything I could have ever imagined, sitting in treatment, wanting to be sober. In the 16 years of my membership, I learned many things. One of them, which is being that it's not just about me, it's about all of us. I want to say thank you from the members that are back home who are succeeding today. Some of them have the capacity to know what we're doing up here, and some of them don't. But we provide a safe place for them to come and hang out and be one of us. In essence, it's about we the people. Clubhouse support has been better than anything I could do alone or with no team to support me. When I hit a wrong note or something more like important, no place to live. It's become a part of my lifestyle, the clubhouse. I have also learned the importance of looking out for one another and being a part of a greater community by contributing the skills and talents we all possess. Before the clubhouse, I knew loneliness all too well, but since being a part of the clubhouse, I now have a routine that has curbed the isolation, giving me a sense of purpose and fulfills my life every day. I'm grateful for the Clubhouse community for lifting me up in my hardest times and allowing me many incredible opportunities, which is one of them being here today to speak with you. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Committee, are there questions? Representative Barth.
Thanks, Chairman Mason. So thank you guys for sharing your stories. I mean, they're all very touching and moving, and really proud of you guys for doing what you've been doing. I guess the other side of the question I have, the other side of the equation I have is a question is, you know, you all are very successful. You know, the folks that also are there, do we have people that are not successful? Like, what does that look like? And can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Every day we see it. You know, we have 60 people that attend our program every day. I don't get sold on too many programs, but this model I believe in. When they call us colleagues, I've been asked to join the faculty with Clubhouse International. I've been in training for the Clubhouse model, and I feel like an equal. You know, it's I could be anywhere, but I choose to be at the Clubhouse. And, we do our own self-policing. We try not to call the police. There's a lot of things that happen in mental health, but you know, most of it is peer support, saying to someone, I know where you're at, and I can help you.
Just kind of bounce off of Rick there, that was perfect. But everybody's on a different level, you know, so some of us are doing really well and some of us are having a really rough day. And so that's the blessing of the Clubhouse is we've all been to those rough days, so we know, you know, when at least you're coming into a safe space. And so we're working on all different kinds of levels. Some people are housed, going back to school, doing all their things, and some people are homeless and don't have a dime to their name, and we can support them at any of those levels.
Thank you.
Representative Ballard.
Thank you. I'll just follow up. You told a story before of what you were like when you came and how you improved, and yet you continually to see that there are people that are struggling. And what we're seeing are people who all had a presenting problem or problems when they came to the courthouse. And through all this group therapy, and you could be yourself there, even though it may not have been the best behavior, you could be yourself. You learn how to be another behavior in many ways. So what you're saying is that it never was perfect, and it isn't perfect, but you overcome those things to be the person you want to be. And there you go. And so that simply says, if you could do it, it says to the other people, you can do it as well. Do you agree? Thank you so much.
Committee, other questions? Seeing none. You have some additional for us?
Nope, I was just going to leave it on this last
Okay.
slide here. And
Okay.
I don't know if Mary Ellen's got any wrapped up comments.
Wrap it up, huh? Okay. Welcome back, Mary Ellen.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. You can see why I came out of retirement for a few months to see if I could help the Clubhouse movement grow in Kansas. I like the fact that it's flexible. There's a different answer for every person. And in some environments, it's a story. You do this and you'll get this result. But here, it gives people an opportunity to find their way. And I'm happy to be able to help them out one more time. Any other questions? Any of our people would be happy to answer them.
Let's see if there's some final wrap-up questions.
I just have
Ballard.
one comment, Mary Ellen. Since I was here when you first came here to talk about this program, and one of the things we said, it's good and it's working. Why not expand? And I see where you have expanded in various places. You said then that it worked, and I think we've had the opportunity to see and hear how it has worked. And it's unusual because it doesn't fit the regular model that most of us know. And I think what that says is that you meet people where they are, and you learn from those people with problems how to do it another way as well. So thank you for coming back. It's a pleasure to see you. And you did exactly what this committee asked you to do, expand your programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we invite all of you to visit any one of our places. There's lunch served nearly every day in the clubhouses, and these folks would love to show you around and answer all your specific questions and meet more people along the spectrum of the success that some of our speakers have had today. So please, please do that.
Representative Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Representative Ballard was pleased to see you back. I'm not sure I can say the same thing, Marion. She was the most ruthless person. I just had started chairing this committee, and it was her goal to start this clubhouse. And I'd come in my office, she's sitting there waiting on me. And it never went away until we got this done. So thank you.
So he said to me before the meeting, he said, I saw your name on the agenda, and I went, oh, no. But obviously, we've had a great relationship over these years. Thank you.
See, I don't share that frame of reference. She's been nothing but sweet to me. I do have a question for someone who can talk on the financial side. Is that you, Mary Ellen? Okay, Andy. So are there multiple sources of funding? Is it state, federal funding? Is it donations? Yeah. Is it what?
Largely, it would be probably around 80% is funded by the KDAD's grant and our agreement with them. Then we have some local funding. All of our clubhouses write grants, and they do that with members' support. And then we have an annual clubhouse giving day. The plan is, as we continue to grow and open new clubhouses, that we continue to find other sustaining funding sources. So we're actively looking for different ways to sustain the funding of these clubhouses.
So none of this comes from your members in the form of a
Oh, absolutely not. Okay. Yeah, it's free. It's free service.
Very good. And you're organized how? Is it 501?
Yep, 501. Yep, we're a nonprofit.
Okay.
And right now, Breakthrough Episcopal Social Services, the fiscally responsible for the reimbursement process. Of course, we invoice KDADs for those funds, and then we distribute those funds to the clubhouses.
Very well. Committee, last call for questions. Seeing none. I want to thank you all for appearing as very compelling testimony, and it was a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Committee, we do have another presentation tomorrow, so I will see you then, and we're adjourned for now.